Hello and welcome to Dario's Comic School, and today I will show you how to make a comic book or a comic from start to finish in either part 1 and part 2. It depends how long these videos will get, but I will explain it on these thumbnails. So these are comic books I made, The Last Pickup Artist issue 1. And just to show that I have done a bit of work, and I will jump right into the video. You've come here to learn, so let's not waste any more time. So, how to make a comic book? Let's get into this. So, let's focus. So, how to make a comic book from start to finish, all you need to know. And I mean all you need to know. So the first point is you want to make a comic book. Most people want to start with this. Bad advice, because when Kentaro Miura started, he started small, and so should you. I've seen yesterday a YouTuber who made a big fat comic, and he couldn't make a graphic novel in 3 months, because not even this guy does a graphic novel in 3 months. So learn to start small, and the thing we are looking at, like these books, these are after the artist has mastered his craft for 10 years. So if you want to do a comic book for fun, or if you want to do it for serious, start please small. Start doing small comics. Do first a couple of pages, and then from there we will build up. You're not hitting the gym and becoming a huge gym lad by, you know what I mean, by just going to the gym once and blasting yourself, or for 3 months. It takes time. So the will to make it is also very important, because making a comic, it took me a couple of years to make these comics, and even though this is a bit dated, I have newer ones, but it takes time. It takes time to draw. It takes time to understand all the moving parts. But as long as you have the will to make it, you will make it. So, important, try 1-page comics at first. Try first 1-page comic, then a 2-page comic, then a 4-page comic, and then you will get to the 8 pages and the best 8 pages you've ever drawn, and that will take a bit of time. And then from that we will build your graphic novel, your epic. Don't lift heavy from the beginning. Number 2, good thing we have timestamps down below. Number 2, what's the comic about? Your idea. Idea stage. What do you like? What are your favorite TV shows? Are you into teenage movies? Are you into dragons? Are you into sci-fi? Are you into werewolves? Or do you like the color pink and blue? So everything that you like could end up in this comic, but again, let's keep it for the beginning a bit lighter. When I started making this comic, I totally put in everything I liked and loved. John Carpenter's 80s movies, conspiracy theories, pickup artists, new age spiritual stuff, and so on. But this was after a few years of trying. So again, go easy on yourself. What do you like? What are your favorite genres? What are your favorite music? You know what I mean? You get the flavor, and then you put in, you try a fantasy, you try a western, you try high school, sci-fi. And I have to say, and this will be the following videos, I will show you what I did, because when I was first starting out, I wanted to do, Sin City is right up there, but I cannot grab it right now, but I wanted to do a 100-page Sin City style comic, and I thought I could do it in 3 months, and I couldn't, because it was too big. So after crashing and burning and feeling the pain of that, I started one-page comics and doing daily a comic, and just with a pen and a few colors, and I started to draw. Actually, the fantasy came last, but I started doing a one-page comic about a western, a noir. I will show you in the following videos, high school, science fiction, space. And then I tried my first 8-page comics, which will come, or which will be down below, is space opera. And it didn't look so good, but at least I did 8 pages. I told a story, I painted it, and you know what I mean. And mix the genres. I kind of mixed in space opera, high school, sci-fi in space, and a bit of fantasy. Yeah, that's for stage 2, what the comic is about. So, stage 3, write or lay out, thumbnail, a basic plot. I don't say write because, as you can see in the video up here, I don't write. The usual writing process is a bit like this. Like Frank Miller will write down what's happening, and then he will point out here and there what kind of panels he would like, and then the penciler will do something like this. You know what I mean? But sometimes I start with rough drawings of this. We call this the thumbnail or basic plot. Could be that I write it down. I write on Mars. There's a princess and a prince and a giant dog, and they ride the giant dog, and then they fight Skullface, the evil wizard, and at the end they win and they own his magic orb. That is the writing process. For example, for a 1-page or 2-page comic. Then it could be that you're like me and you don't really write. You write in pictures. And it could be that your writing comes with, okay, I see, it's not I write on Mars, I see it's Mars and 2 planets. And then I see the princess, this is the princess, and this is the prince, and he has a giant sword, and she has something like Xena, and then they fight the evil wizard Skullface. Could be that you write like this. And then from this, you need to thumbnail this. Like either you write it out, and then from your writing, you put it into pictures. This could be a process, it's called thumbnailing. You have a thumbnail, it's not the prettiest thumbnail, but bear with me. You have a thumbnail, and let me show you. I will show you in a second. You put down, this is your page, and you have like the beginning, the middle, and the end. And let's say you put down, you can do as much pages as you want of these thumbnails. And as you can see, this look kinda like thumbnails. Kinda. And here you put your text, the beginning, on Mars. And you don't know yet how to draw. And then we see a prince, and you write in here the things you see. So you have a page with, let's say, 6 thumbnails, and then you have a bottom box in which you write, as I am writing here. This are kind of thumbnails, but in your thumbnails you will write what you have, and then you will put in the pictures, or somebody else will put in the pictures. And then you have roughly, I will have here Mars, and a few stars, and then here I have the prince. And as you can see, would I do this thumbnails on this big paper, I would have roughly a plan of what I'm going to do. I would have, and as you can see, the story or the things I'm educating, the things I'm telling you, educating you. This is how I wrote. I woke up in my bed and I thought to myself, I'm gonna make this. And as you can see, this is my thumbnailing process. And you can do that the same way. And once you have the thumbnails, you can go from the thumbnails to some layouts. And this is the layout stage. where you have a small book like this, and in that little book you could try to, let me grab one, wait a second. For example, is my layout book, and this is for young Dario. Let's see. Oh, here, the beginning, and we see the world end, and then there's a woman, and she has something to give water to the flowers, and then we see the sunset, and we see an army helmet, and then we see the text, and then we see something like this, and you know what I mean? And here, this is how I do in a small book. This is A6 format here in Europe. And as you can see, this is how I lay out. This is the things like, and then you can see, you could do it that way. So, choice number one, do we end this movie or do we end this video? Or should we continue? Let's continue. And then you go to your thumbnail, and you can do this on paper, or you can grab a small book. I have a few like this. I have also, let me grab another one just for showing you. Where's the second one? As you can see, I have another one, like these are kind of like hardcover and thicker, and these are thinner. And here sometimes I write down things, and it's good to have the small books because then you can try. But in the beginning, I was layouting on a paper like this. So let's go on. Then your thumbnail, as you can see, here you have your first page, your second page. In the beginning, you have Mars, then you have the prince, then the princess. They ride on the giant, huge dog. Then they encounter the evil wizard. The evil wizard gives them a spell. They fight. Evil wizard dies, and in the end, they win. That's your comic, and that's what happens here, or that's what happens in your comic, and it could be in a few pages. And again, please don't go overboard with you trying it first, because you have to build up. You cannot jump from this to this. You have to gradually build up your skills. So, number 3, layout for the pages. We have done that. Then here is anatomy needed. As you can see, you look at those drawings and you don't see the anatomy lines. You see just the drawings, just the pictures, things unfold, Catwoman fighting. But in reality, this is what it looks like. People are trying to lay out and sketch out, and as you can see, that's what they start. That's what gets on the page. They try to create depth with a foreground, with a background. As you can see, bare bones, just figures, and then from this pencils, you go to the finished inks. And let me show you, like this is what the inks then look like. Somebody goes over the pencil lines with a brush and a pen, and then this is a coloring part. So it takes time, and this is what I want to show you, so that you know what you need. So you don't need to know every muscle in the body. I will show you in a few videos how to draw anatomy and what you really need, but this is a very important skill. You don't have to obsess over this, but constructing a figure, you might find, if I have a video, I will link it up here, how to construct how anatomy is needed. This will be a skill that will save you years of regret, because I was always my drawings sometimes do not look the way they should look. Like, for example, here, things look kind of fine, but it's sometimes a bit wonky, and with the right anatomy and construction line, things would have looked better. Here they look a bit better. And when things look wonky, it's because my anatomy wasn't 100% right, but then you don't need to. Sometimes the style is different. So you go from the layouts. Sometimes this is how some people do it. They take the layouts, the things they have put here on paper, and they scan those layouts like the skull. And let's say I like this page, and then they scan this, and then they put it on the laptop screen or the PC, and then they print it out, and they get a page like this, but only with very, very bright blue lines. Let's say I print out how the skull flies, and the skull flies in this direction, and I have here the layouts that are layouted, and this is the panel. And as you can see, you can barely see it, but then it's on the paper or it's on the page, and you grab a pen. Where is my pen that draws black? Wait a second, I have to spot it. I have a couple of pens lying around. Give me a second. Here it is. So this pen is a typical pen, but it paints in black. And so I can go into the skull, and I can make it beautiful. And if I understand anatomy or if I don't, doesn't really matter at this point. But then I start drawing the skull, and let me go a bit down here. And then, as you can see, you won't see the blue lines, and then you can put in some details or some lines, or you can take a ruler. I don't have a ruler right now, but you know what I mean. You can take the ruler, you can make the borders, you can pick a different brush and make the borders much thicker than the lines. You can take a different pen and put in some sound effects like POC. And then you go in and you say, well, wait a second, there's something missing here. Here I need a bit of more of depth, and yeah. And this is how you could then draw your comics on the page. And as you can see, you can barely see the blue lines. And those blue lines, you have two options. Either you scan it, and while you scan it, the scanner will only pick up the black lines, or you can take an eraser, and I would recommend to let this fully dry. There were times where I was erasing the blue pencils and I smeared the ink. So you need to let this dry, and then trust me, I could now erase it, and everything that would be left would be the ink lines. That's how they do it. So this is getting a bit of a longer video, but I want to give you the whole package, everything you need. So sometimes people take their thumbnails, scan them, kind of refine them, and then print them out on usually a bigger paper. Some use a Bristol board. The bigger you can draw, the better. Some will just scan this and go to the inking process digitally. We will come to that in a second. Or what's the next? Scan thumbnails, print it out big. Like I've seen Jason Brubaker, and a lot of people do that. Also Daniel Warren Johnson. They scan that. They draw their thumbnails or they lay them out digitally. That's what I have done in a different comic. I drew digitally and then I inked over that. Or they do it with pencil, very classical. I think David Finch does it. He takes a big paper, then he takes this pen, which he calls Excalibur, and then pencils really beautifully. And then I don't know what he does with this. I guess he scans and then inks it. You can lightbox that. There's a few different ways you can do it, but a lot of people use pencils. John Romita Jr. does, and then you scan the pencils, and then you make these pencils blue, and then print it out, and then it goes to an inker, and that inker pens over that with an ink pen. And then there's another way. You see, it goes from pencils, then those pencils get scanned, then they get printed out as a blue line, and then somebody puts over those inks, as I've shown you. And this is how I do it. I usually use a blue pen, not like this, but more a mechanical pen, one like this. I guess the right one has a blue lead, and then I ink over it. This is how my things are made. I create a page, I create a layout, then I go from the layout, I draw then with a blue pencil what I want to have. Like I will put down some things like from the pencils I will construct the face, and I will say, okay, this is a barbarian, and then I will put in every detail I need. And once I have like every detail I need, something like this, which is just bare bones, I then will go in and start painting the face, the nose, the beard, the chin, you know what I mean, the ear, the hair. And this is how I like to do it. Like this is just my style, and everybody does it differently. I would suggest you do what brings you the most fun. And as you can see, like this is just a rough sketch, but as you can see, I lay down the blue lines underneath, and then I will go in, and my final product then will look something like this. Wait a second. Let me show you something better. But this is how all of my drawings got made. Like this is all paintings that I started with just blue lines on a page, and then I went in, I inked those things, then I scanned it, and then I came to the coloring process. Just one example. So we're 20 minutes in, but that's okay, because this is the whole freaking package you ever need. So scanner does. Let's go to the next page, and I think we're about to wrap up. So then once you've scanned it, or you have the blue lines, or you have the pencil lines, you can also use the pencil, just a pencil or whatever pencil you have. I don't have another pencil. Like this is also like a pencil. You can draw with a pencil, then ink over it, and then erase the pencil. That's how it was done. Or there's another way. You could pencil the page, put the pencil on a light box, which today are very cheap. I got mine from Amazon, but put that light box for 10 bucks. Put that light box in a different source of energy, how do you say? Because I put it in my laptop and it created a short circuit, and don't do that. And I will make shortly a video about my tools, but you have the pencils like right here, then you put another paper, you say lighten up light box, and then you can see the pencil lines underneath that, and then like with the blue lines, you can pencil over that, and on one paper there are your pencils, and on the other paper there is your finished inked page. So that is also a viable option. Don't worry, I will tell you. And this is how it will look then. You will have the inking as I showed you, and then you can use a mechanical pen, different pens. There is a pen like this, markers, called markers. I use markers. I will do a video on what I use. Thicker pens, I use the Pentel brush pen. You can use something like this, which I don't use. Or you can use really brushes, or you can paint digitally. There's definitely a lot of way. Another thing before we end this video, the inks are not just that you get outlines. the inks can also enhance your drawing. In a way, you will find something about inking here and here, or up there, like a playlist. Inks give your lines an outline, as you can see here, but they can also give your drawing depth, light and shadow. As you can see, we have a light source. Here we have no light source, and here we have a light source from above. And then we have some cast shadows, as you can see here. And that's typically where you get your, as you can see, your shadows, your light and shadows. As you can see, guts, the light comes from up here. And so he has a shadow on his mantle. And as you can see, it's not just outlines. There are definitely shadows, like here and here on his clothes too. And we will learn about that later, but I just wanted to tell you that that exists. Then number 5, you can color it. You don't have to. You can color it simply by just applying 2 colors. Daniel Warren Johnson has done just 1 color, as you can see. Like you have your drawings and then just a blue, or just a blue and a red. For beginners, it's good to not use too many colors. I have a color palette, as you can see. For my skin colors, I have just 2 skin colors. For my yellows, I have just 1 or 2 yellows. A very saturated one and a not so saturated one. For my grays, I use just 2 grays, and that's pretty much it. So in that limited palette can help you a lot while you do things. As you can see in this panel, just 3 to 4 colors and not much more. Pretty simple stuff, and you can do it the way you like it. You can color it digitally. You can color it with a brush, with the colors you have, with markers. Like there's no restriction to how to color your comic page. And there is a video on how I color my page up here or up there. And then you're finished. And if you're a beginner comic, this is the point where you staple your comic together, where you make something like this, and you put a couple of pages together, and then you staple it 2 times or 4 times. Or if you're a professional or semi-professional, you can send this to a printer with a PDF file, and your comic gets printed up, and you can put in everything you need. As you can see, you have a cover, you have a back, you have, you know what I mean? This goes from beginner to like semi-expert to expert, and then you're done. Show example by the last pickup artist I did. And then there's definitely marketing, YouTube, Kickstarter. There's selling, shipping, different marketplaces, eBay, Etsy, Shopify, a homepage, YouTube. But those are videos for a different day. I thank you for sticking around. I give you 2 thumbs up for staying till the end. And we'll see you and make comics. See ya.